Did Kyle Shanahan say what I think he freaking said after the game last night? What's up? Welcome to the Cohn Zone. New time, Monday morning. That's Lowell Cohn. I'm Grant Cohn. And Kyle Shanahan sort of buried the lead last night. They lost to the Rams. Of course, he fully understood how good the Rams were going to be. He wasn't surprised by the result, wanted to win. After the game, was asked if Brock Purdy was ready to be the backup in this game. And Kyle Shanahan said he could have gone, definitely. I just decided to hold him and not put him in that situation. Situation is one of the worst words in the English language, but in this example context, it's the most interesting word that Kyle Shanahan used last night. What did he mean by that situation, and how do you take what he said?
Okay, we can only speculate what he meant by that situation, but let's let our imaginations run wild. He could have meant we were going to get our ass kicked anyway by the Rams. I wouldn't want to bring my golden boy back because he would have gotten his ass kicked. So let the other guy get his ass kicked, and then I can make a seamless transition to Brock Purdy from Mac Jones. That's what it sounds like to me. What does this sound like to you, Iggy?
Yeah, it sound like he said, look, I mean, we beat the Rams once. That was incredible, but they're better than us, and we know that. And not only are they better than us, they have a really good defensive line and a really good pass rush. And, quarterback could get hurt. Not only could he go out there and look bad against the Rams, who have a great defense, he could get re-injured. So instead of risking Brock, let's throw Mac out there one more time. And if Mac loses, then that makes it a little bit less awkward when we bench him and go back to Brock Purdy. It'd be really hard to go to Brock Purdy after Mac Jones won a big game.
Yeah, but Kyle has a problem. Mac Jones did not win the big game, but he played great.
Yeah.
Iggy, I don't see Brock Purdy doing any better in that game. I see him doing worse, but I don't see him. I mean, Iggy, the guy threw 3 touchdown passes. His passer rating was 115. He completed 85% of his passes, and he threw for 319 yards. Mm-hmm. He in no way contributed to the loss. In no way. Yeah. In fact, if he had not played that way, the score would have been worse.
Yeah, and now it seems like you're benching him after his best game against a really good team. And what's interesting about what Kyle Shanahan said, it sounds like he benched Brock. Again, just taking him at face value with what he said, Brock could have played against the Rams, but Kyle chose not to play him. So you have a healthy franchise quarterback who was a scratch because it was a bad matchup, and it might have hurt his stats or win-loss record, or who knows.
Yeah. And also, I guess he's implying that when Purdy comes back, we'll be a better team. Isn't that part of it? Iggy, they're not going to be a better team when Brock comes back. Brock's a very good quarterback. I'm not putting him down. I happen to prefer Mac Jones. But, Iggy, I think they're in the same grouping as quarterbacks. They have different skills, but I think they're in the same grouping. They're not going to be a better team when the other guy comes back. They might be a worse team because he's rusty, because he throws picks. He's not as decisive anymore as Mac Jones is. And I'm going to say one other thing. I watched and read a lot of things after the game yesterday. And a lot of the discussion was who should be the quarterback going forward. And clearly that was part of the discussion that Kyle enabled. It's a distraction. Mm-hmm. That's not the issue on this team.
Yeah.
You could have Johnny Unitas playing for this team. You could have Joe Montana playing for this team. This is not a team that's going to beat really good clubs.
Yeah.
So talking about the quarterbacks is letting Kyle, Salah, Jed, and the whole organization off the hook. The organization is responsible for now. They had a 6-3 record, but they seemed weak at 6-3. Now they're 6-4, and they seem weak. I'm getting a little feedback here. They seem
Sound
weak
good.
to me at okay. They seem weak to me at 6-4. There are so many issues, a lot of them on defense, but also on offense. So sure, we need to talk about this because of what Kyle said after the game yesterday, but it's a distraction from the real issues that are going on, which are much more significant than who's the quarterback.
Yeah, whether or not they feel this way, the optics of potentially benching Mac Jones after that loss means that, yeah, Mac was good and his numbers were good, but Brock just gives the team a little certain je ne sais quoi that we can't put our finger on. And just having him back in the huddle, his presence alone will energize everyone. And that's going to be the shot in the arm that this team needs. Forget trading for someone at the deadline. Brock is the trade. He's the big acquisition. He's going to come back and save him. But it's like in this game, if you were listing the people least responsible for the loss, Mac Jones would be in the group of people least responsible for the loss.
He played beautifully.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, had he not been playing, it would have been worse. He at least made it semi-respectable. Without him, they're the New York Jets yesterday,
That's right.
or the Giants, who just got their coach fired.
I like the Jets because that's where Robert Saleh came from, and he brought like half of the team with him.
Got it. Without him yesterday, they're the Jets.
Yeah, that's a sobering thought.
Yeah, and I want to also say, when I was in press boxes, of course, I never listened to the TV guys because it's quiet in there. You don't play the sound. But Brady, who is among the better analysts, they all suck, football analysts, but he's among the better ones. He was a great quarterback. He kept praising Mac Jones.
Yeah.
He didn't say, I didn't hear him say, oh, they'd be better with Purdy. He was really impressed.
Yeah. And like the reason you got to go back to Brock, apparently, is because you paid him.
Yeah.
But that's not a football decision. That's a business decision. And it's funny to have Tom Brady talk about it because he was asked before the game, hey, what should the Niners do? And he's like, well, you're asking me? You're asking me, I'm going to say go with the hot hand. My whole career was created because Bill Belichick went with the hot hand. I mean, if you go back and look, they had just signed Drew Bledsoe to, I think, a 10-year extension, which was unprecedented. And then he gets hurt, and Tom Brady plays, and he keeps winning. And Belichick's like, you know what? I like Drew Bledsoe. Good quarterback. We're going to stick with this Tom Brady guy. It seems to be working. And the rest is history. Why would you not do that? Who cares who you paid? I mean, the Niners did the same thing with Trey Lance, essentially, right? You didn't pay him, but you gave up a lot to get him. You realized that he wasn't the best quarterback for you, and you figured out a way to change. You did it already.
Yeah. Iggy, there's one other thing I don't like about this situation. It sounds like he's scapegoating Mac for the loss.
Yep.
I don't like it. It's not fair.
Yeah.
It's not fair. He didn't do anything wrong. He threw the one pick. That was late in the game, and it was fourth down. It was, what the hell? It was a what the hell throw. Otherwise, I want to say, I'm going to use an adjective. His play yesterday was gorgeous.
Yeah. And there's something else about Mac that I really respect. He's so freaking tough. He's a warrior. He would die on the field. He's not coming off the field. I really like that. And I'm not contrasting him to Purdy and saying that Purdy isn't tough, but it's nice to have a quarterback who can play that well when he's not 100% healthy, Mac Jones, but he's playing really well. Brock Purdy, when he's not 100% healthy, you can freaking tell. So,
Iggy, we're not saying that Brock Purdy isn't tough, but I'll make a declarative statement. He's not as tough as Mac Jones.
He's hurt a lot. Mac Jones, I don't know. He's on the field.
Yeah. He's really tough. And what you said, he would die on the field to play. I'm a boxing guy, and I've thought about this a lot. One of the things about Muhammad Ali, perhaps the greatest heavyweight who ever lived, he would die in the ring to win. He would die in the ring to win. That was one of his qualities. Mac has that. He's not at the level of Muhammad Ali, of course not, but he has that die on the field quality. And
to me, it's funny when you talk about, when you compare like skill sets, a lot of people will say, Mac, hell of a story. he's just limited compared to Brock because Brock has all this mobility and stuff. But I think that toughness, that warrior quality is an ability as well, and it trumps everything. It's the most important quality from a quarterback, and Mac Jones absolutely has it, and I didn't realize he had it until I started watching him on the Niners.
Yeah, and also he's not as quick as the other guy, but he gets the ball out quicker. He's not a guy who gets sacked a lot. He's very efficient, Iggy. He's very efficient, and he's very accurate.
Yeah. He's the best passer they've had since Jeff Garcia. When the ball leaves his hands, I'm always convinced it's going exactly where he wanted it to go.
He's more accurate than Brock.
He's more accurate than Brock. He was more accurate than Jimmy ever was.
Oh!
There's like an effortlessness with the way he throws.
Yeah, he's really something. And you see why he was taken in the first round.
Yeah. And it's a cool story too. Like, he was a first round pick, but he was completely written off. They got him off the scrap heap. He was a backup last year in Jacksonville. He might be better than that Trevor Lawrence guy that he was backing up last year. He might be better than Brock Purdy. The two of us think that. And so far, he's on the verge of getting benched after the best game of his career. It's an incredible story. And he's not done. He's going to be a starter somewhere next year, most likely.
And the thing about it, again, I admire, because I don't have this quality. He's been knocked down so much, and people have said to him, no, no, no. He's never lost his belief in himself or his good nature. He's not a guy who comes in sullen, pissed. He seems remarkably buoyant.
That's why I like him so much.
I'm not like that.
I feel like I can be like that sometimes. I got knocked down a lot in my 20s in my career and got back up and believed in myself, and it paid off. And so it's nice to, not that I'm him, but I do relate to him a little bit. He's relatable.
I like what you're saying. He's like a guy. He's like, you could imagine going and having dinner with him and having a really nice time.
Yeah, and cracking jokes and not talking about him the whole time or me the whole time, but like whatever's going on, like a normal person.
Yeah.
I
love that.
Let's take some super chats. Too Much Sauce donates $50. Thank you, Too Much Sauce. He says, to win, sometimes you have to go into, this is a quote, to win, sometimes you have to go into a very dark place where it's almost life and death, and you'd almost give up your life to win. It's where you face your fear of losing, not being good, the opponent, and you rise up and bust through it. Lowell, you wrote that.
I wrote that?
Apparently you wrote that.
Wow, thank you. I guess I was pretty good at one time.
Too Much Sauce says, Lowell, can Kyle go into that dark place?
What a wonderful question, Too Much Sauce. I don't think he has the ability to. I'm gonna expand on this. I love this question. I think for everyone to be successful, to be a hero, you need to face the darkest things in yourself and be willing to defeat them or be defeated by them and be willing to change. Mm-hmm. Bill Walsh could do that. I saw him do that. In many ways, he could be a pain. He complained a lot. He wanted sympathy, but he faced every one of his insecurities weekly. After a game, he'd go through a process. I'm no good. I'm going to fail. And he had to go through that on a weekly basis to finally on Sunday say, the hell with it, I can do it. And he did it for 10 seasons with the 49ers and wore himself out with what I would call that heroic battle. I don't think Kyle, if he were watching now, would even understand what we're talking about.
Agree. Nathan Reyes says, Grant, how can I meet you at the game on Sunday? Okay. You can figure out where I do my post-game rants by looking at the stadium. I had people do this and just be waiting there for me. I get there about an hour and a half after the final whistle. They won't kick you out. I've had people waiting there for me. But other than that, I'm working, baby. I can't be going around shaking hands. But after the game, if you find me, I'll be there, Nathan. Pandemi Lovato says, did GM Kittle really say we are paying Brock? Yes.
We'll get to him later.
Yes, he did. Michael Allen says, I can't believe we're in year 9 and still debating who's the better quarterback. That's not good. How do Kyle and John still have jobs? We've been talking about that for a while. Bill Kennedy says, if Brock starts and throws 2 interceptions in the first quarter. Does Kyle sit him and bring in Mac? How long of a leash does Brock get? We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mike Partridge says D is so bad. If SF loses time of possession, they lose the game. Yeah. Chris Grove says, Grant, do you ever see Ayuk anywhere? Love you guys. I ran into him at the stadium. I want to say week 2 or not week 2. They're on the road. Week 1 or week 3, something like that. But I haven't seen him in a while. I think he's in a luxury box. Harvey Dent says, I'm willing to bet the Niners will lose one of the next 4 most winnable games with Brock, probably the Browns, and Brock will have a quote-unquote setback as opposed to getting benched. Then Harvey Dent says, I love that you can see Mac upset during the game. Passionate. Boxing Fan Times 4 says, Mustafa on Adams in the red zone is equivalent to Tyler Croft on Hassan Reddick. What a mismatch. That was awful. Not Robert Saleh's best day. Mike Partridge says, roster politics hurting this team. All right, speaking of roster politics, based on what Kyle Shanahan said yesterday after the game, it seems like Brock Purdy's coming back this week against the Cardinals. Again, Kyle said could have played against the Rams. It just wasn't the right situation for Brock. Well, here come the Cardinals. They're awful. This seems like a pretty good situation for any quarterback. How would you feel if the Niners picked this week to bench Mac Jones?
Yeah. I would adjective outrageous. Outrageous. Let's just talk about reality. You got one guy who is 5-3, but the last loss yesterday, he was phenomenal. He's playing he's among the best quarterbacks in the NFL currently.
Yes.
The way he's playing. You bring back a guy who's been injured and hasn't played in how many weeks? I mean, a lot of weeks.
6.
Yeah.
6 or 7.
And he's going to be game ready. So I feel it's outrageous. And I feel you should play Mac Jones until there's a reason not to play him. Certainly his performance yesterday was not a reason.
Yeah. To me, again, like you said earlier, it would be shameful and it would be a way of scapegoating him. Like, look, it's not the season we wanted, but wait till we get our real quarterback back. Mac, thanks for everything. Took a lot of hits, won some big games. We really wouldn't be here without you, but you're done. And now that we're in November and these games are serious and we're 2 games above 500, it's time to bring in the big guns. And not just Brock, but we also got Ricky Pearsall waiting to play too. I would hate to think that they came back the same week and the Niners were like holding them for each other. It all sounds bad. And it would, I don't know. I just think that they should show Max some appreciation for what he got them to.
Well, let me ask you this, Iggy. Let's say Brock Purdy is the starter next week against this really crummy team. Do you expect seriously, do you expect against Arizona, Brock Purdy will have a game equivalent to what Mac Jones had against the Rams?
Do I think he'll complete 85% of his passes? Hell no.
3 touchdowns?
Hell no.
I don't think so.
No.
No. So I think what Kyle wants is he wants a soft landing for his guy. So his guy looks good, and so he looks good. So Kyle looks good.
Correct.
Right?
Because if Brock comes back and replaces Mac, who's playing so well, and Brock doesn't look so good, who gets criticized?
Kyle.
Yeah.
And again, if Purdy stinks out the joint, now he's got a problem. Now Kyle has a problem.
Yeah. Because it's like, not only do you have a quarterback controversy, you might have, it might not even be a controversy. You might have a starter in Mac Jones and a backup with a $53 million a year contract that you can't move. That's where you're one bad game away from that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dad, who do you think has more trade value right now? I know the trade deadline's gone. Right now, who do you think has more trade value, Mac or Brock?
Mac, no questions asked.
It's not even close.
Not even close.
He's cheaper and he's not hurt all the time.
And I think he's a better quarterback.
And there's that.
I do.
And people will say, well, he's just doing this in the Niners system. And a lot of people run the Niners system. A lot of people have good offenses. I mean, look at Sam Darnold. He was the Niners backup. Then he went to Minnesota and played well. Now he's in Seattle and playing well. You could call him a system quarterback, but a lot of people run this system and he's good at it. Mac's the same way.
I get the feeling Mac would be good in any system.
Yeah, just give he struggled earlier in his career. Who the hell was he playing with? Kendrick Bourne. Now he's on a team that's pretty good, although they can't run the ball or defend, but he's playing well.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
all right, let's talk about Kittle. After the game, I asked George Kittle. He was speaking like a combination of the head coach, general manager, and owner of the 49ers. Very confident, self-assured, had a finger on the pulse of where this team is going. So I said, hey, at 6-4, are you confident that this team can make a deep run in the playoffs, or is that not your focus at this time? Because really, he should say we're just taking it one game at a time, right? I thought he was going to give me the one game at a time answer, but he said, both. I mean, we have so much talent coming back on offense. The defense, it's young and it'll make incremental progress, but on offense, we just have an incredible amount of talent coming back. Mac Jones, good quarterback, but Brock is so special and he's coming back, and we can just score, and we can just outscore. We can score 40 points in a game, and that's how they're going to go deep in the playoffs. What do you think of that?
Okay. Actually, when you asked your question, he went, ooh, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know what he meant by that.
Good question. Let me think about that. I don't know.
Or I need time, or I don't know. And I don't understand what both means.
Yeah.
But what he's saying is we can win with offense.
Mm-hmm.
I got to tell you, I've been around football a lot longer than he has. He's wrong. He's dead wrong. You don't win by aiming to outscore the other team. Mm-hmm. You win by limiting the other team, by frustrating the other team. That's how you win. You win by scoring enough and frustrating the other team. If you every week get into a shootout, you're going to lose a lot of games. Mm-hmm. So what he was doing, cliche, was whistling past the graveyard. He was telling himself, yeah, our defense sucks. And we're going to get into that, Iggy. Our defense sucks, but it doesn't matter. We can just outscore opponents like they outscored the Rams yesterday. Mm-hmm. Gave up 7 touchdowns. So his fundamental premise is wrong, and it's self-serving. It's saying that when we get the quote-unquote core guys back, mm-hmm. we're going to be a force in the league. And it's also saying this quarterback, he's a nice little quarterback that's playing. He's a nice little quarterback. But the other guy, when he comes back, how would you like to be Mac Jones and hear that after you played your ass off, after you had the game that you had, and he's diminishing you, saying, yeah, thanks a lot. You did good. But now the real guy is going to come back. The real guy, who the hell is the real guy? How good has he been lately? What's his record lately? How many picks has he thrown lately? So he's whistling past the graveyard. And when he says Pearsall's coming back, is he? And when he comes back, who's he going to be? And when's he going to get hurt again?
Right.
The guy, he's a very nice
Same
man.
for Brock.
Yeah. And they seem fragile, Iggy. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And in football, you can't afford to have fragile key players. It's a very tough game. You need people like Mac Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what Kittle was saying, I can't even believe either he wasn't serious or he's deluded.
He was dead serious.
Okay.
At least my perception in the room.
So I give him all the respect, and I want to say he's a great player. I love to watch him play, and he gives everything. He's a player who gives you, he's Mac Jones. He gives you everything, although he doesn't play as much as Mac Jones. He gets hurt a lot now, but when he's on the field, he gives you everything. But he is in no position to be speaking about the big picture because he's delusional. He's almost, I would say, childish. Fantasy, talking fantasies.
Yeah. And what I didn't appreciate about his answer, what kind of made me laugh, someone brought it up earlier. Not only did you diminish Mac Jones, which is outrageous for you to do as a teammate. Who are you to do that? But then he said, this is why, like, you guys forget why we paid Brock Purdy so much money. We? Who is we? Are you on the board of directors of the 49ers? Do they run that by you? Do they ask, hey, George, what do you think about extending Brock Purdy? He acts like he's a lifetime member of the 49ers, and Jed York has to ask for his advice, man. Just play tight end.
I agree. This we is very interesting, as if he's a power in the power structure of the team. When they get rid of him in a season or two, he won't be we anymore.
No. But this is why I talked about this for the last few years. I called it like the Cabo clique. It really does feel like certain vets on this team have way too much say. And maybe George doesn't have that much say, and he just said we, and he thinks he has that kind of power, or he just misspoke. But it feels like he really does have that kind of power on this team. Again, I don't think the Niners asked him what he thinks about extending Brock. But if he gives the thumbs down on a quarterback, I think that's a problem.
Yeah. Now, I don't think he's given a thumbs down on Mac.
No, I gave the thumbs down on Trey. Maybe that was appropriate.
But he's given a thumbs up. Up where? I don't know. On Brock Purdy.
All Niners says, hey, Cones, Lowell, I'm curious your thoughts on the Giants hiring Tony Vitello.
Oh, boy. I'm so into the talking about the Niners now. A quick, honest answer. I never heard of him. He may be great. They say he's a stickler for details, and maybe Bob Melvin's teams weren't. On the other hand, he's a college coach. He's never coached managed 162 games. And I know big league ball players, if they start to lose, will they not listen to him because they'll think he doesn't have the chops? So I find it a very daring hire. I'm not sure it's a good one. Well, let's see how he does. I'm open-minded.
Yeah, Buster has done some very daring things so far, and yet the end result is that they're still as mediocre as ever. So we'll see.
My answer to that would be more fundamentally, I'm not very impressed with Buster. Let's see how he does.
Laughlin Poker Ben says, Lowell, used to watch you on Chronicle Live. You've answered questions in the past, and now it's Grant. The relationship you two have is enviable. Cheers.
Thank you so much. And now Grant is the star. I'm his sidekick, which I'm happy to be.
Joe No says, if Purdy loses, it's his first game back, Kyle. Or his toe hurts.
Yeah. And he'll also say, no. Say, he did a lot of good things.
Mm-hmm.
He'll say
by no means was this on him.
Yeah, he did a lot of good things.
Sean says, Kyle let Matt get away for Lance. I don't see him letting him leave for Purdy. Fireable offense if Purdy fails. I don't think Purdy is his guy. It's the guy he had in the building. Okay, here's another question. Do you think privately Kyle Shanahan thinks Mac is better than Brock? Secretly, privately, to himself?
I can't answer that, guy.
I don't know either.
I can't answer that.
I don't mean either. Yeah. Mike Henry says, I've been asking my dad to answer questions like this my whole life. Sometimes he's not God. Dad, have the answers. Mike Henry says, you all want Mac now, but after his contract ends next year, he will want 50+ million. So then what? Get rid of him for another cheap quarterback. Do you think Mac's going to get 50+ million in a year, Dad?
I don't like the question. I'll tell you why. I'm dealing with now.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with a year and a half from now.
Yeah.
So many things are going to change between now. So it's an unanswerable question. Right now, on November 10th, 2025, I want him to be the starting quarterback.
I like that. Mike Partridge says, Lowell, Ira, and Osler. Awesome sporting green days.
Osler came in later.
CM Top Flight says, somebody's gone at the end of the season, and I think it's Brock G. I don't think anyone wants him in that contract. We'll see. All Niner 4 says, forgive me for not trusting any quarterback on this team. The same conversations we were having about Mac, we had about Purdy, Lance, and Jimmy. They all have fell to mediocrity. Why should I think Mac is any different?
Oh, that's a fair question.
Yep.
My only answer is I think he's different.
Yes. What I would say is I'm not as concerned about him regressing to mediocrity. I'm concerned about him getting hurt, because the offensive line isn't good and he gets hit and he's tough, but there's only so many hits you can take. Boxing fan times 4 says, well, Cones, who brought back the fullback? They cut him. Maybe George Kittle said, "Hey, let's sign Kyle Juszczyk. We should sign Kyle Juszczyk. I'll chip in
Well,
$10."
the fullback. Iggy, did he have a big impact on the game yesterday?
He usually catches 1 or 2 passes for like 15 yards. It's incredible what he does.
Okay.
Meanwhile, the Rams have all these tight ends on the field that catch touchdowns and move the ball down the field. The Niners maybe should think about doing something like that. They have tight ends.
Like maybe take the fullback off the field and use a 3 tight end alignment.
Yeah, that seems to be working for the Rams and the Seahawks. Niners might want to try it, although they've been scoring 20 points a game, and maybe that's enough. Maybe they don't. Maybe they're trying to be modest this year, not greedy. Joshua Wyatt says it's clear that giving Brock that contract wasn't the answer, but is it possible the answer is none of the above? Brock's not good enough at 53, Mac's not good enough at 30, and Kyle won't be good enough without a franchise quarterback.
Mac's good enough.
I think Mac's good enough. I think
Mac's good enough.
I think that contract, the Sam Darnold Baker Mayfield contract is good for Mac. That's what I would want to do. Haas B says play Purdy to raise his value, trade him in the offseason to reduce cost. Eventually pay Mac Sam Darnold money and use the money elsewhere. You see how Niner fan, this is the thing. If the front office doesn't make a move at the trade deadline and says it's not our year, then what are fans supposed to do? How do you take this season seriously? How do you not wander to the future and think about stuff like this? Niners brought this shit on themselves. I'm just saying.
I agree.
Yep. And if you play Purdy, do you necessarily raise his value? Maybe. Harvey Dent says Mac has done it with the least superstars versus others.
Yes.
Nestor Dominguez says fire John, fake GM. We need someone who's not Kyle's yes man. Okay. Speaking of Kyle, so he might bench Mac Jones this week, but I think Mac Jones has had a better season than Kyle. Kyle's doing some things really well. He gets credit for Mac, but the running game really stinks. And it seems like 10 games in, we see why it stinks. Sometimes it's good. When they run McCaffrey or Brian Robinson Jr. between the tackles, they've had success. But Kyle likes running outside zone, which is sort of an east-west style running game, horizontal style running game. And it's just not working, and he just won't adapt. What do you think of that?
Well, I'd even go a little further and say he runs the whole offense through CMC. Now, again, I was watching the broadcast yesterday, and Burkhardt, who's along with Brady, he's like, oh, Christian McCaffrey's great. He has the most touches, and he's wonderful. And you'd think he was talking about Jim Brown. The fact of the matter is, Christian McCaffrey, God love him, and I'm always partial to Stanford guys, is hurting the team. And it's not his fault. There are ways to use him where he would be an A+. You could use him sometimes to run the ball in certain situations, maybe, I don't know, where you need a quick little back. And you can use him beautifully as a receiver coming out of the backfield. He filters through the line of scrimmage. He's always open at 8 or 9 yards. And then he can make it, once he's quote unquote in space, he can actually run pretty well.
I think it's a big reason that Mac Jones is playing so well. It's really nice to have that kind of a check down. He makes any quarterback more efficient.
Yeah, he's wonderful. I admire him. He gets hit so hard and he gets up. He doesn't complain. But Iggy, yesterday he averaged 2.5 yards a carry. He had more carries than Robinson Jr. That's wrong. And it's wrong because it hurts the team. It's because in key moments, Kyle says, like, you need a yard. Iggy, wasn't there one play where they needed, tell the play?
It was 4th and 1. It was in the first half. You need to get that. I mean, usually they do a quarterback sneak there, but if you're going to hand it to a running back, I don't know, maybe Brian Robinson Jr., who's more of a goal line power back anyway. But if you're going to give it to Christian McCaffrey, why don't you run him straight into the line and not ask him to run sideways for 2 or 3 seconds, which is what he asked him to do. He lost yards. They turned the ball over on downs.
Yeah, that's very bad. And it's not on McCaffrey. It's on the coach. So what I think is this. I think Kyle's strategy is wrong. I think he should wean himself off from all of this McCaffrey dependence, and I think he could get more out of McCaffrey if we were to do that. He should use Robinson as a running back at least equal times to McCaffrey or more. And certainly when you need a yard, you run this Robinson up the middle, not over to San Mateo. You know what I mean? Not on the side
Yep.
or wherever that is, Mountain View.
Yep.
You don't do that.
Yep.
So I am not criticizing McCaffrey. I'm criticizing the coach. And again, I'm going to use a word. He's stubborn.
Yep.
Iggy, he's stubborn. Rather than saying, this hasn't been working for 9 games. Let's do something different. He's saying, it's my system. I'm going to make it work. That's his biggest limitation as a coach.
Absolutely. And it's like, now that you get this deep into the year, you look at it and you're like, man, you're the biggest reason the running game isn't working, because you're choosing to use your running backs incorrectly. They could get their money's worth with Christian McCaffrey this year in a different way. They don't have to give him 12 to 18 carries a game to feel like they actually got their money's worth. They could throw him the ball as much as they've been and use him as a complementary runner to Brian Robinson Jr., and he might be really great in that role. But to just give him the ball on first down all the time, I mean, you see what's going to happen. So it's on Kyle. He could absolutely adjust and have a good running game, but he chooses to keep doing the thing that's not working.
Yeah, and the other thing that's so interesting about it, Iggy, it's not subtle. Sometimes in football, I get confused. Is it this coverage or that coverage? This isn't subtle. He gives him the ball, he gets 2 or 3 yards, and they knock him down. And now it's 2nd and 7 or 2nd and 8.
Yep.
Everybody can see that. It's not something like the coverage, which you can't understand or can't see, or the A gap or the B gap. He gets the ball, he gets knocked down by big guys, and he stands up after 2 or 3 yards. That's obvious. And the coach still feels wedded to that, comfortable with that, and that is a coaching failure. And it's not fair to McCaffrey, and it's not fair to the team.
Yeah. And it's like, and people would say, well, okay, well, it's not McCaffrey's fault. Maybe it's the blocking. Well, on the same team with the same blockers in the same game against the same opponent yesterday, Brian Robinson Jr. averaged 5 yards a carry while McCaffrey averaged 2.5. So I think when you isolate the variables, it's McCaffrey. And I'm not saying he's not good anymore. He absolutely is very good. And he's a huge asset to the offense as a receiver. But when it's time to run the ball, your best running back is Brian Robinson Jr. And if you don't use him, then you're going to lose games. It's going to be a lot harder to score points.
And another thing, you were talking after the game yesterday about the core of the team, which is a bullshit concept, the core. And McCaffrey, of course, if there's a core, should be in it. But so should Robinson Jr.
Yep.
He should be in it too.
Yep.
And you know what? Some of these tight ends should be in it, aside from Kittle, in addition to Kittle.
I agree.
Yeah.
Jake Tonjes was in the core for a few weeks when you freaking needed him. He stepped up, then Kittle comes back and you forget about him? Cool.
Yeah, and that's again, he's stubborn and he's narrow-minded. I don't mean as a person. I mean as a coach. He's narrow-minded. Tonjes really added something. Wouldn't you rather have Tonjes on the field than the fullback?
One of the things I like about football is that it's unpredictable, and the core, if it is a concept, let's just say your best players that week, is constantly changing. And a guy that you didn't think about, a guy who might have been a backup last week, can become your best player in 2 weeks. I mean, that was the Brock Purdy story, right? 3rd string to franchise quarterback in a month. That's what we love about football. You have to react to that. So if Brian Robinson is running better than Christian McCaffrey, guess what? Robinson's in the court. Robinson's going to Cabo. Go with it. You might win. It's a nice thing. It's a good problem to have. And Christian can make room for him at the core dinner table. Christian can go to the children's table for a week.
I'm going to tell you something funny. I never told you. When I used to interview Bill Walsh when he was the coach, he was always very polite. He never used any curse words because I was media. Then after he retired from the Niners, he didn't have to talk that way anymore. So we were chatting on the phone one day and we were talking about the 49ers. And he said, I got a problem with that team, Lowell. This is George Seifert's team. I said, what's that, Bill? He says, where's the fucking running back? What he said to me. So where's the fucking running back? And I thought, whoa, like I never heard him talk like that before. And talking about George's team, and George was his guy. So I think Bill would
That must have been between Roger Craig and Ricky Waters when they were searching for a running back.
Yeah. Well, if he were looking at this team, he'd say, where's the fucking running back? That's what Bill would say to me on the phone. He's not going to consider McCaffrey the running back. You can't have it.
He's a hell of a slot receiver.
Yeah. Where's the fucking running back? So that's my comment on this arrangement. Kyle, where's the fucking running back?
Yeah. It seems like he's on the sideline wearing number 3. And it's funny. I mean, you've made it this far. You're 6-4, but you're kind of choosing to play offense with one hand tied behind your back. That's what I would consider this Christian McCaffrey offense in 2025. You're like deliberately choosing not to be as good as you can be on offense. And that, to me, makes Mac Jones' season even more impressive. It's not like he hands the ball off 30 times and they win easily. I mean, that's the kind of stuff Jimmy Garoppolo used to do. That's not what's happening this season.
Yeah, now Kyle it's not like he wants to lose. He's in his own way. He's so stubborn. He's so stubborn. He's in his own way. And I got to say, I was a teacher for many years. Teachers, leaders, coaches can't be stubborn in that way. They have to listen, be open-minded to changing. You have to be.
You can't get your ego tied into your plans.
No.
This is what I want to do this season. This is what I think is the best way to go about my offense. This is how I want to structure it. Okay, you're halfway through the season. It's not working out like you planned, but you have eyes. You're smart. You can react. We do have a running game. It's there. It's not the way I thought it would be, but it's there. So I'm just going to adjust. Why can't he do that? And that's my biggest issue with Kyle Shanahan. Good coach, smart guy, but he can't do that one thing. That one thing requires self-esteem, confidence. I mean, you have to be able to be like, I was wrong. And that's okay, because I didn't have to be able to predict the future. I just have to be able to make the right adjustment now and admit that I was wrong.
I love it. And Iggy, a lot of people say, do you have a plan B? Like in fighting, when Canelo fought that guy, he didn't have a plan B and he got beat. Kyle has a plan B. It's obvious, but he won't use it. He has a plan B. Run the other guy more.
Well, it's going to be interesting. I mean, Robinson has now run extremely well in 2 straight games. He has touchdowns in 2 straight games. McCaffrey it seems like he's even getting a little bit more tired as the season. I mean, they've given him an absurd amount of touches. See what they do next week. They almost have to give Brian Robinson Jr. 10 carries or as many or more than Christian McCaffrey, even though he's not getting paid what Christian's getting paid. See if they do it. Because the contract should not dictate how many times you get the ball. That's bullshit. Performance.
I'm going to defend Kyle on this. I'm not sure that he goes with contract. Okay. I don't know. I think he has a certain idea about players, about roster. And I'm willing to grant that he's wrong in how he uses his roster, but I am not sure that he bases it on money or contract. I don't know.
You're right. It's a bad look. Just want to throw that out
agree.
there, Kyle.
Very bad look. Very bad look.
Andre says Niners have been searching for an elite quarterback for 30 years. Only true elite arms deserve top of the market money.
Yes.
Weird Book says, what if Shanny said you're his go-to guy when he needs a problem solved? You're such a hulked up and shredded, nasty physical beast that I have to make you a director of player personnel. Would you take that? If he wanted me to be the director of player personnel, if he wanted me to pick players for him, I think he'd be in trouble. I'd be terrible at it. Would I do it? Absolutely. But I just don't think I'd be very good. Then he'd fire me and I'd make a good YouTube video about it. Foot says Rams and Jets making a move for Burrows is a growing story. If at all true, Niners need to package Purdy with some picks and make that happen. I guess people think that Joe Burrow might get traded in the offseason. I don't really see that happening. Maybe. They have Mac Jones, though. All day, every day. Kim says Mac might open up the offense for Christian because Mac can throw down the field with accuracy.
He sure can.
Cyber says, thanks for always asking the hard questions. Kittle gave us so much insight in his answers. It's obvious there are leadership failures in the team.
There may be leadership failures on the team, and I'm not convinced it's one team. I think it may be factionalized. I'm not in there. I can't say, but I wonder about that.
Josh B says Kyle isn't creative enough. Too much 12 and 21 personnel. There's 11, 12, 13, 22, etc. Get the fullback, get rid of the fullback and run different sets. 13 personnel got us killed yesterday.
Yeah. Iggy, that's
Explain that.
another example of Kyle's stubbornness, that he keeps Juszczyk on the field.
Yeah. You have 3 good tight ends. You don't use them at the same time. And I think it's interesting. I don't know why the Niners defense was so unprepared for that, considering the Rams have been using it and it was on film and you needed to prepare for it. But there might be something to the fact that, like, Kyle never uses that on offense. So in training camp throughout the year, the Niners defense isn't going to see that very much unless the scout team sets it up on purpose that week. It's just not something the Niners defense is exposed to very much. So I guess that's what it's going to look like. It's no excuse though. Okay. What do you think we learned from this loss to the Rams?
Okay. This is important. My teacher would say, pay attention because this is Lowell, because this is important. I always say that every game is a new universe and you learn something about the team you cover. We learned nothing about them from the Giants. That was wrong. But this one, as Iggy put it, was a statement game. It was going to be a statement game one way or another. The one statement, if they won, was these guys are serious. These guys, you have to take them seriously. They're really a good team. Well, that didn't happen. The other is you lose, but not only that, you get your ass kicked. Let's face it, they got their ass kicked. It's said that the 6-3 record that they had come in to the game with was soft and a bit of an illusion. And when they faced the powerhouse team, they could not compete. They could not compete. So what we learned that the Niners, one, are not an elite team in this league. And in spite of what Kittle says, they are not going to be an elite team the rest of this season. They're not. They're not a crummy team. They're a B or a B minus team. That's what we learned. That's who they are.
And from the way they talked after the game, the way they played the first quarter, how they fell behind so quickly, 21-0, it almost sounded like from coaches down, they kind of expected to lose the game. Like, look, we know they're good. We've lost Bosa. We lost Warner. On paper, we're just not as good as the Rams. We found a way to beat them earlier this year. Probably not going to do that twice. There's no shame in losing to the Rams once. We split with them. We're still 3-1 in the division. All that shit. That's kind of the vibe I guess I got from the team afterward. That's what Kyle said. Yeah, we knew what we were walking into here, and we didn't want Brock to be out there for that. Okay, well, yeah, I get it. I mean, you gave the same message at the trade deadline when you did nothing. Look, I know we're 6-3, but we just don't think we're good. We don't. So we're not going to make a big move. Sorry. And so on Sunday, we're going to prove to you that we're not that good.
When you're 6-3 and the trade deadline comes, you make a move. You show your locker room that you're behind them. It's the Buster Posey crap that he did to Bob Melvin last season. You make a move. Iggy, could they have used an edge rusher? They were available. Or could they have used a run stopper? They couldn't stop the run, and they couldn't get to Stafford. Stafford looked like a guy at the beach with binoculars looking at the birds, drinking a beer. He was having a ball. He was never under duress. And these guys ran for 126 yards against them. Every time they got the ball, they were at the second level. You had linebackers having to get them and safeties. They could have used help. Again, there are so many things that they've done recently that disturb me. Them not making a move for whatever reason it was, and I don't need to know the reason. It was dereliction of duty, and it was a screw you to the team.
It was absolutely a screw you to the team. It was a screw you to Mac Jones. I mean, Mac Jones has the team playing well. Like, yeah, you lost 2 players on defense, and they're not coming back. But you have a quarterback who's playing like a top 10 quarterback in the league. You have a Hall of Fame tight end. You have a backup running back who's playing really well and could actually be a good starter for you if you give him some opportunities. You have Christian McCaffrey, who's a hell of a receiver. Like, you have all kind of stuff. You were going against the Rams, who might win the Super Bowl this year. And yet, despite starting the game sleepwalking down 21-0, you fought back and made it a one-score game in the third quarter. Like, the Rams aren't that much better than you, but they are better than you because you didn't do anything at the freaking deadline. And again, I'm not saying one player makes you better than the Rams, but someone else might knock off the Rams. You're not that far away from the upper echelon of the league, but you're definitely not in it, and you never will be this year because you didn't do anything at the deadline.
And one player may not make you better than the Rams, but one player makes you better.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and
exactly.
Two players, an edge rusher and a run stopper, makes you better.
And here's the thing: let's say George is right about the offense, that like Pearsall comes back and Brock comes back and they start scoring 30 points a game. They're still going to lose a lot of games because their defense isn't good. If they had gotten one player at the deadline, defense might be good enough, and with that supposedly vaunted offense, they could go on a run, but not with this defense.
No. Should we talk about the defense now?
Let's talk about the defense and what Robert Saleh did.
Okay, now I know that you really admire, let's be clear, you like Robert and you really admire him, right?
Mm-hmm. I do, very much.
You are critical of what he did yesterday. So why don't you lay it out for your listeners?
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows that Robert Saleh helped my career, and I have very fond feelings for him. But I also have to be unbiased, and I can't just criticize Kyle all the time and make excuses for Saleh. I think clearly the Niners defense has personnel issues after losing certain players to injury. But if you watch the game, there were schematic issues as well. Anytime the Rams went to that 3 tight end personnel grouping, the Niners were confused. It wasn't just that they couldn't stop the run or the pass from that stuff. They couldn't get lined up. You saw people in the wrong spots. You saw no one over the tight ends. You saw people pointing to each other, trying to figure out who should go where. It's like they didn't prepare. It's like they didn't really practice it, rep it in practice. That's a problem. And then the results, gave up all those catches to tight ends. It can't happen. You couldn't stop the run at all. They had no answers for that. And Robert Saleh's job is to have the team prepared for that one. He didn't.
And Iggy, it's not like they were famous tight ends. Some of them,
no.
I never heard of some of them.
No, it's not like they were, Saleh had good guys matched up on him and those tight ends just beat the Niners DBs. They were wide open. They were wide freaking open. And it seemed like what Saleh was doing, now he could say, look, I have to play these guys because of injuries, but Luke Gifford, their third linebacker, he'd be in the game because the Rams had all these tight ends and you're afraid they're going to run the ball, and all of a sudden they pass and Luke Gifford's in zone coverage and Stafford's just like, where's 57? Where's 57? I'm throwing to you every freaking time. Can you take him off the field? Is there no one else? He's awful. And it's like you'll play Luke Gifford over your rookie 3rd round pick, Nick Martin, because Nick Martin apparently is so bad he can't get on the field and take the lumps. But then you have guys like Upton Stout at nickel who gets beaten every week, but you stick with him. I just don't understand why they're playing certain players on defense. That's a big problem.
Okay, and I'm going to say another thing. In defense of Gifford, he's trying.
Yes.
It's not his fault. He's not being used correctly.
He's a special teams guy. All of a sudden, the Niners decided that he's a starting linebacker. Why?
Yeah. So it's a coaching mistake or a coaching failure. This kid is doing the best he can.
Yes.
And he must wonder, why the hell am I out there too? It would have been better to put a safety instead of him, Iggy. Yes.
And it's like, okay, well, they have 3 tight ends on the field and we're afraid that they're going to push us around and run the ball. Better to let them do that than to let them throw 20-yard pass after 20-yard pass to wide open tight ends. You can't do that. So get Gifford off the field, bring in another safety, and if they're going to push you around in the run game, then so be it. That's a better way to lose.
Right. Especially because you're more
take longer
stopping the run. Yeah.
Yeah. Learn anything else on Sunday?
Did I learn it?
That was it.
That was it.
Should we do the remaining? Let's look ahead.
Okay. All right. Let's look ahead. Iggy, I got to tell you, I have a dentist appointment in Castro Valley at 2:00. So we gotta end no later than 1:30 today. Would that be okay?
Sounds good. We'll get out of here in the next 10 minutes.
Okay.
All right.
I got a dentist appointment.
Dentist? Tell him I say hi. Okay. Next week in Arizona against the Cardinals.
Okay. Their record now is 6-4. I suppose they're going to win that game. So 7-4.
Yeah, the Cardinals won their first 2 games and they've lost 6 of their last 7. I would think the Niners should win that one.
Yeah, 7-4.
And then you got the Carolina Panthers at home. Let me tell you about Carolina. They started off the season 1-3. Since then, they've won 4 of their last 6. They're at 5-5. They just lost to the freaking Saints. They lost to the Saints 17-7. Yikes.
I'm going to say the Niners will win that game.
They should win that game. After that, they go on the road. So we're at 6-4. We're thinking 8-4. After that, they go on the road and face the Cleveland Browns. This is going to be November 30th. Could be a little rainy. The Browns have the number 2 defense in the league, and yet they're 2-7 and just lost to the New York Jets. Coming off a bye week, they lost to the New York Jets. That's special stuff.
The Niners will win that game.
Yep. Okay, 9-4.
9-4.
Then they have a bye week. Then they face the Tennessee Titans at home. Tennessee already fired their coach. They're 1-8, and they've lost 4 in a row.
They win 10 now we're at 10-4.
10-4. Then they face Indianapolis on the road. Indianapolis has the number 1 offense in football, and their record, what is their record? 8-2.
Okay, it's a loss. 10-5.
Chicago Bears at home. Real quick, I'll tell you what they got. They are 6-3. They've won. They've won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of their last 7.
It's a loss. 10-6.
My dad's going quick because he's got to go to the dentist.
No.
Seattle Seahawks last game.
Loss.
They're going to lose their last 3 games.
If it matters, loss 10-7.
So they're going to win 4 in a row and then lose 3 in a row to end the season.
Yeah. So look, I'm saying 10-7. That could also be 11-6 or 9-8. You give a little wiggle room. So they're anywhere to me between 9-8 and 11-6. Iggy, does that sound about right?
It sounds about right. I don't know that 10-7 makes the playoff. 9-8 won't get it done. 10-7 might not get it done. They might need to get to 11-6. And based on that one, that means they might need to beat the Bears or some team that might beat them. And with that defense they have right now, they could lose to the Bears. The Bears have Ben Johnson. They're a pretty good offense.
I don't see them beating the Bears.
No.
I don't think they're that good, Iggy. A week ago, I thought they were pretty good. I think they're a middle-of-the-road team. I mean, look how many points they score. I looked it up. I don't do a lot of stats. In terms of points scored per game, they're averaging in the bottom third of the league. But, of course, when Brock Purdy comes back, they're going to start averaging 42 points a game. Ricky Pearsall.
Yeah, it was all Mac Jones' fault. He did admirably, but not well enough. Let's show him how it's done, Brock. All right, before we get out of here, last thing, prize picks. So we have preliminary prize picks because it's a Monday. They don't know who's going to be the Niners quarterback. We only got 4 available ones, and there's no more or fewer. It's just more. So if you like the action, tell me, and we can put it down. Christian McCaffrey, a touchdown. Do you think he'll get one, or should we stay away?
Hold on. Did he get a touchdown yesterday?
No, he didn't.
But against these bums, I'm going to say yes, he'll get a touchdown.
Okay. Do you think he'll get one through the air or on the ground?
Air,
I agree. Kittle, will he have a touchdown?
No.
Okay, we'll leave it. We'll stay away from him. What about Marvin Harrison Jr.? Will he have a touchdown?
Yeah.
How about their tight end, Trey McBride?
No.
You're out of here, Trey. All right, let's do tonight's game, and then we'll get out of here. Green Bay, Philly. Jordan Love, 233 passing yards, more or fewer?
Jordan Love against Philly.
Mm-hmm.
Fewer.
How about Jalen Hurts, 200.5 passing yards, more or fewer against Green Bay?
How many?
200.5.
More.
Okay. I like that. Let's stick with that. Those are the picks. 4 picks. Jalen Hurts, Jordan Love, Christian McCaffrey, Marvin Harrison. Let's flex it just to be safe. Submit it. Download Prize Picks yourself. Use promo code COHN. Play $5. Get $50 instantly in lineups when you use my promo code. Wait, that ain't it. There it is. All right. Dad, go get your teeth cleaned. Everyone, thanks for watching. Let me make sure there's no more super chats. There ain't. We're done. Before we go, best show ever.
This was, I'd say, in fact, I'm hearing it already through the ether.
A lot of people are talking about it.
I love you, Guy.
I love you too, Dad. Bye, everyone.